This is kind of a good transition to one of our other topics. We saw Malik Monk go down with a sprained ankle. It's not a serious injury. He's out for the game against the Suns. They'll reevaluate him after the All-Star break. Sprained ankles, that's like a 2-3 week injury at most. Some people come back pretty quicker. Sometimes it can kind of linger, but it's not a serious injury. Nonetheless, you really felt good that Terence Davis was still on this team. And maybe when Monk's back healthy, in terms of kind of sparing Huerter a little bit of a workload, maybe you kind of give Terence Davis the opportunity to kind of fill in here or there. I mean, and I guess that kind of leads to the question of leading up to the All-Star break, it's not like we were like, they need to trade Terence Davis. We both are huge Terence Davis fans. At the beginning of the season, I posited that he was going to find a way into the rotation and be a guy that's going to have a crazy good year. Not necessarily happened, but when his opportunities have come, he's been quite impressive. Always stays ready, consummate professional. I mean, how happy are you that they didn't trade Terence Davis based on the Monk injury? Granted, it's not serious. And then based on this kind of fatigue talk about Kevin Huerter and other guys, depth really comes into play, and Terence Davis personifies that depth.
He really does. And I was a guy who was saying before the trade deadline, like, trade Terence Davis. Not for nothing, but it's like, you can find the right deal for this guy on an expiring deal. Like, might as well, right? But man, I'm glad they didn't. He's gonna give you solid minutes, probably shoot the ball pretty effectively from deep, and it highlights that depth that we have at the shooting guard position. Going into the year, it was like shooting guard and center. Like, those are our most filled out positions. At center position, no, not anymore. But that shooting guard has definitely been our most, consistent position with all the players we have there. And really because of Terence Davis as that third string guy. So especially in the playoffs now, because you kind of just really start looking ahead now, like you were saying, talking about Huerter and how his fatigue's going to hit, like having Terence Davis at least as that backup option to Huerter or Monk, it's just in the playoffs it could be very clutch.
Yeah, he'll be huge there. Undrafted free agent, fought for everything he has in this league. He just gives it his all on both ends of the floor. Ball pressure, it's huge, and people constantly point to it. It's like, you look at his defensive rating, you look at the defense when he's in the game. The Kings are better, and I don't really credit. I don't want to toot our own horn, but we were saying that when we were kind of talking about the idea of Terence Davis really having this huge year that people wouldn't expect. One of the things was he could be a two-way player. He's not tall or anything, but he's got a pretty long wingspan. We never really were like, oh, he's a dogged, aggressive player on offense. Mike Brown's gonna really unleash that on the defensive end. But that seems to have happened. We didn't see that in our crystal balls, unfortunately. Yeah. I think another thing you noted was it's like when Terence Davis gets his opportunities, he more or less succeeds and capitalizes on the opportunity and performs really well. Really, the only instances where he didn't, he's coming off of no minutes, no rhythm whatsoever, where it just kind of takes him a second to get the rhythm back. But he started 2 games. Was that in Houston? I think that first one, I don't know if he started that first game. I think he did, because he played 23 minutes in it. And he scored 6 points on 2 of 7 from the field, all from 3. And then the next game, he played 31 minutes, 22 points on 7 of 14 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. That rhythm thing for him is huge. I mean, as with any other player. Mm-hmm. And that concept of being able to kind of fill him in for an injured guy, fill him in for a guy that maybe needs a little load taken off his shoulders, that's mutually beneficial now. Because now you're talking about Terence Davis just kind of constantly being able to stay in a rhythm, finding his minutes, and Mike Brown's using him a lot more in the rotation anyways. It just kind of seems like an ideal situation, and people are so critical about the trade deadline. It's like, I don't know, man. I mean, in terms of moving Terence Davis, I was like, if you can get more length and maybe get a defensive stopper or something like that, then that's a pretty good replacement. And it's like, well, that would have really taken away that scoring punch that you would need. And in a way, they kind of got maybe a cut rate version of what I was talking about in Kessler Edwards. We'll see how that pans out. But they still kept Terence Davis. And that just seems like it's going to pay off just based on what we're saying here.
It already
for
seems
so many
to be
different
paying
things.
off.
Yeah, absolutely. Right?
Yeah.